Have you ever wondered how the world plunged into the most devastating conflict in human history, the Second World War? The seeds of this cataclysmic event were sown in the aftermath of the First World War, with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. The punitive measures imposed on Germany stirred a sense of resentment and humiliation, setting the stage for the rise of Nazism under Adolf Hitler. Meanwhile, in Italy, the economic turmoil and political instability following the Great War led to the ascendancy of fascism under Benito Mussolini. Across the globe, in the land of the rising sun, Japan too was experiencing a surge in militarism, directed by its desire for expansion and dominance in East Asia. The spark that ignited the powder keg was the invasion of Poland by Germany in 1939, a brazen act of aggression that marked the beginning of the Second World War. And so, in 1939, the world was once again engulfed in war. The world had descended into chaos, with nations scrambling to either defend or expand their territories. It was a time of global turmoil, an era defined by the clashing of ideologies and the struggle for power. Starting in 1939, a series of events unfolded that would forever change the course of human history. The Battle of Britain was a pivotal moment, marking the first major campaign to be fought entirely by air forces. The relentless German Luftwaffe sought to gain control of the British skies, but the valiant Royal Air Force stood their ground, demonstrating the indomitable spirit of a nation under siege. As the war escalated, the world watched in apprehension as Operation Barbarossa was launched in 1941. This was the largest invasion in the history of warfare, with the German army marching into the Soviet Union, igniting the Eastern Front. This audacious move would eventually backfire, leading to severe losses for the German forces. Meanwhile, across the ocean, the Pearl Harbor attack in December of the same year marked the entry of the United States into the war. This surprise military strike by the Japanese Navy against the U.S. Pacific Fleet was a wake-up call for the American nation, prompting them to join the Allied forces. In the winter of 1942, the Battle of Stalingrad proved to be a turning point. The German army met with fierce resistance from the Soviets, leading to one of the deadliest battles in history. The defeat of the German Sixth Army marked the beginning of the end for the Axis powers. Finally, in the summer of 1944, the D-Day invasion marked the start of a major offensive against the Germans. Thousands of troops stormed the beaches of Normandy, marking the beginning of the end for Hitler's reign of terror. The tide of the war began to turn, with the Allied forces making significant advances. The world, once consumed by the fires of war, began to see a glimmer of hope on the horizon. By 1945, the Axis powers were on the brink of defeat. The tide had turned and the final stages of the war were being played out on a global stage. In Europe, Germany was in retreat. The fall of Berlin was imminent, and with it, the end of Hitler's reign. His death in a bunker marked a pivotal moment in history, signaling the beginning of the end for the Third Reich. Not long after, Germany unconditionally surrendered, marking the end of the war in Europe. But the battle was not yet over. Across the Pacific, the United States made a decision that would forever change the course of history. Atomic bombs were dropped on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The destruction was unimaginable. Japan, faced with this devastating power, had no choice but to surrender. And so on September 2, 1945, the Second World War officially came to an end. The world had been forever changed by the war, but what were the consequences? In the wake of the conflict, the face of the globe was dramatically altered. The establishment of the United Nations marked a significant step towards international cooperation and peacekeeping. However, the seeds of another conflict were sown, giving birth to the Cold War. A new era of political tension and arms race, primarily between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. Germany, once a powerful nation, was divided, a tangible symbol of the ideological divide that had engulfed the world. The war had exacted a heavy toll, with an unimaginable loss of life that still echoes in the annals of history. It has also made a lasting impact on global politics, shaping the world's geopolitical landscape in ways that are still apparent today. In the ashes of the war, a new world order was born, setting the stage for the world as we know it today.